Welcome back to Experience Points, a show in which I talk about games that I'm playing through but haven't yet completed in order to give you my idea of whether or not this game is worth trying. And today I'm going to be talking about Valkyria Chronicles 4 for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and I think it's coming to PC. So far I've played through just the demo because that's all that's available right now, and I think that's enough to sort of formulate some opinions here. Starting off with the gameplay of Valkyria Chronicles 4 is actually really good. For those of you who don't know, Valkyria Chronicles 4 is a strategy RPG in which you control, not to be confused with a tactical RPG, which is, I guess, when you're moving your characters around a tile-based map, kind of like chess. Instead, you're actually moving characters around much more naturally, a lot less confined to a grid pattern. Instead, you are actually taking like a third-person control of your characters, running them through towns and areas where battles are occurring, and actually shooting at other people. Yes, this is a semi-modern style of warfare game in which you actually aim the gun that the characters are shooting at each other. You can actually like go into a first-person's perspective mode when you're like using the sniper and stuff. But that said, it's actually a turn-based strategy RPG, so you don't have to worry about it feeling like a first-person shooter or a third-person shooter, because it definitely doesn't feel like one of those. It's still very much an RPG. And it's also a very beautiful RPG, as you can probably see from the gameplay that I'm showing right now. The game has this very nice watercolor aesthetic that I guess is it's unique to the Valkyria Chronicles series, I guess. You can see around like the edges, there's some outlines there that haven't been colored in some areas, whereas like the center has these really nice kind of lighting slash painterly sort of effects applied to them that kind of give it this artistic, somewhat surreal perspective, but all of the characters look like anime. It's very nicely done, and it runs really smoothly on I'm playing on the Nintendo Switch. It runs at a very solid 60 frames. I haven't actually seen many frame rate drops during my playthrough of the game. I can tell already that there's a huge amount of depth to this game. You can control your individual troops as you wage war against the opposing factions, and you can, between battles, you can go in and customize your units. You can upgrade your units by dispensing experience points, but the individual troops that you can choose to deploy to your units are very unique. They all have different, I guess they call them potentials, I think, but they're kind of like unique individual perks for each character that sometimes benefits the characters and sometimes to their detriment. And that's something that you kind of have to balance. There's also a lot of things like these characters like this sort of character, or they are friends with this person, and by putting them near or around other people that they like or dislike, it's going to either affect their performance positively or negatively. It's an incredible amount of depth, really. But that doesn't even take into consideration that you can also use R&D to increase their armor and their weaponry. Back at base, you can dispense these points that upgrade their equipment. Also have your tank upgraded, which is really cool. And that's just scratching the surface. This is an incredibly deep game, and a lot of these things I haven't even fully wrapped my own mind around yet, as I've been playing through just the demo. The plot of the game is very interesting. It takes place during a fictional war within Europa, but it has very clear parallels to World War II, though it's also clearly very much not World War II, because it also features some scientific fantasy sort of things, like these interesting energy generators that are on the back of your tank. It's kind of subtle at the first in the game. I'm sure it gets more in your face later on, but it's just something to be aware of, that it kind of depicts this warfare in a sort of modern style setting. There's no swords, there's no shields, there's none of that sort of stuff. There's no archers. It's all people with guns and tanks and mortars and stuff. And I think that it's something about this that sort of rubs me the wrong way, and it's probably unique to me, but I feel like I should mention it. The game puts these characters who they would feel right at home in a Persona game into the middle of a large battlefield straight out of World War II.
It's called a mortar. A magic wand that grants every soldier's wish. Awesome, right?
You seeing this?
And the way that they interact with one another, the way that they interact with the world around them, it feels very, I can't quite, I'm not sure how to put this. It feels a little too sexy. It's almost like they sort of gentrified World War II a little bit. It feels like a lot of the depictions of the characters who are experiencing this war aren't being handled very maturely, at least so far.
Yeah. Weapons can be replaced. Lives can't. But speaking of weapons...
How about those new guns the reinforcements were carrying?
For being portable, it sure packed a wallop. Big things really do come in small packages.
And maybe that changes. This is my first Valkyria Chronicles game, and I'm sure that as time goes on, it's going to get darker, but I feel like the way that nobody is taking it seriously in the game makes me feel like it's hard to take it seriously too. There's a scene where a lieutenant slaps a commander in the face. Like, what? Retelling a sci-fi fantasy version of World War II with a video game sounds like a pretty cool idea until you start throwing in weird high school anime tropes, and that rubs me the wrong way. I don't know if that's going to be an issue for anybody else, but if that's not a hang-up for you, then this is probably going to be a really fun game for you, because like I said, the actual gameplay is great, the game looks beautiful, and the setting is very unique and interesting, and I feel like it's really got probably a lot of potential for some great storytelling down the road, though personally, it's probably not for me because of my own weird hang-ups. But anyways, guys, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, and one last thing. Before I go, I just wanted to let everybody know here that I am actually going to be playing through Terranigma tomorrow. That is Saturday the 18th in one long haul. It's going to start around 8 p.m. Pacific time, and we're just going to play until the game is done, probably sometime on Sunday. So if you want to come and stop by, cheer me on, whatever, that's really awesome. I'll be streaming on Twitch and also on YouTube, so I hope to see you guys there. Take care, guys.